Hey, what's up? Welcome to another video. This one is paper 1-2 of May-June 2011. Now, with that being said, let's move on to question number 1. So here we have to find the integration of this. So how can we do this? Look at one by one. So at first we have x power 3. And this we can rewrite as, let's send this up. That will become x power minus 3 with respect to x. Now it is pretty easy. So first thing we have to do is to increase the power by 1. So 3 plus 1 is 4. Then divide by the same power. And same thing here. Increase by 1 should be minus 2. Then divide by the same power. And plus c obviously for the constant of integration, because we don't have any limits in this question. So your answer will be 1 over 4 x power 4 minus 1 over 2 x squared plus c. Okay, that will be question in relation to integration. Now let's move on to the next question. So here we have to find in terms of x and x. Here we have to find the terms in x squared and x power 3 in this expansion. So pretty easy. So how would you usually expand this? You will take 6, choose something, and then times the first term is 1, and then here we have minus 3 over 2x. Now you want something in square, you have to square this one, right? If this is 2, this will be 2 here. 6 minus 2 is 4. And the next term will be 6, choose 3. That should be 1 minus 3 over 2. And that will be 3 and 3. We need to find a term in this and this. So good. Let's expand and see what happens. So here we have 6, choose 2. Let's see what does that give us. That will give us 15. 15 times 1 times 9 over 4 x squared plus, that is 20 times 1 times minus 27 over 8. Of course, I forgot the x here. We have an x inside, you see. That should be x power 3. Now we can simplify. Let's see what happens. So we have 15 times 9 divided by 4. That should be 33.75 x squared. And here we have 20 times minus 27 divided by 8 minus 67.5 x cubed. So these are the terms in x squared and x cubed. Part 1 done. Now for part 2, given that there is no term in x cubed in this expansion, find the value of k. Okay, so let's see. Pretty easy. You have to expand this. K plus 2x. Now this is the same thing as this, and for this we found those two terms, so we have to think that we have to use those terms for the next part, right? So we have to put this as this for this part of the expansion. Now, in this case, we only care about the term in x cubed, right? So if you take k, you have to multiply by this one. So we can have something in x cubed. That will be minus 67.5 k x cubed. Now here we have plus 2x. So 2x will have to multiply by this one obviously, because we need something in x cubed. That will be 2 times 3.375. That will be x cubed. Simplify. This will do what? 2 times 3.75. That should be 67.50 x cubed. And this one, we can just combine them together or simplify. For example, we factorize this outside, so x cubed will be outside. I will have 67.5 for this one and minus 67.5 k. Now we know that this expansion is supposed to give you no term in x cubed, which means the coefficient have to be 0. So this is supposed to be 0. So here you go. 67.5 minus 67.5 k is supposed to be 0. So solve for the value of k. That will be what? Pretty easy. K have to be the value of 1. Okay, and that will be your question for part 2. Let's move on to part 3. So the equation x squared plus px plus q is equal to 0, where p and q are constants and has roots minus 3 and 5. Great. So here we have a quadratic equation, and the roots are given to you by minus 3, 5. If the roots, which is x is minus 3 and x is 5. So what are the factors? Pretty easy. To find the factors from the roots, we just send this one over here. That will be x plus 3 and x minus 5 will be the factors. Now when you have the factors, you can obviously find the equation of the curve that is given to you here. So we just have to know the equation, or we can call this y for now. Let y equal to x plus 3 times x minus 5. Now we can expand. That will give you x squared minus 5x plus 3x minus 15, and that will give you x squared minus 2x minus 15. Okay, great. By comparison, you can see this will be p and that will be q. So p will be minus 2 and q will be minus 15. That will be the values of p and q. Now let's move on. For part 2 of your question, using these values of p and q, we have to find the value of r. So how would you find the value of r in this one, right? R in which the equation, this, has equal roots. So pretty easy. Right now we have x squared plus or minus 2x minus 15 plus r is 0 has equal roots. Equal roots means what? Means we have to look at b squared minus 4ac equal to 0. So this is a, b, and c. So b squared is 4 minus 4 times a times c. Have to be 0. Simplify. We can send this one over here, or this one over here. That will become 4 times minus 15 plus r is equal to 4. Divide by 4. This will cancel out. That will be 1 here. And r will be 1 plus 15, and that should be 16. That will be part 2 of your question into finding the value of r. Now let's move on to the next question. A curve of equation y, and the p is a point on the curve. So we have a passing point and we have the equation of y. Now what is the first thing that I like to do? I always like to rewrite this equation. That could be written as 4 times 3x minus 4 power minus 1. Okay, now part 1, we have to find the equation of tangent to the curve at p. So pretty easy. We know tangent is a straight line, and to find the equation of a straight line, we have to first find its gradient. So we know the gradient of tangent is equal to dy by dx. So let's find that. That will be first multiply by the power. That should be minus 4. 3x minus 4 minus 1 to the power should be minus 2. Then multiply by d by dx of inside. That should be 3. That will give you minus 12 over the value of 3x minus 4 squared. This is dy by dx. Now, the gradient is dy by dx at the passing point, p, at x equal to 2. That will be what? Minus 12 divided by 3 times 2 is 6. 6 minus 4 is 2. 2 squared is 4. That will be minus 3. So the gradient of tangent is minus 3. And the passing point is 2, 2. We can find the equation. That is my x value, my y value. Again, this is just my method of finding the equation of a straight line after finding the gradient and the passing point. If you guys have another method, you can always use it as well. So I take y minus corresponding value over x minus its corresponding value should be minus 3 over 1. Cross multiply, you will have what? Y minus 2 minus 3x plus 6. So y will be minus 3x plus 8. And that will be your equation of the tangent at the point P. Again, pretty simple. We have to find the gradient first, and then we have to use that to find the equation of the tangent. Now part 2. Find the angle that this tangent makes with the x-axis. Now, for example, my equation is y equal to minus 3x plus 8, and the x-axis is y equal to 0, right? If you think, this is the x-axis and this is the y-axis. Now I know this is negative, it will be something like this, right? Now, have to find the angle. We can find this one or this one. It did not precise which one you want to find, so whatever it is, we can find. So to find the gradient between two lines, to find the angle between two lines, we use the gradient. In this case, the gradient was, let's call it m1, that should be -3. In this case, the gradient, call it m2, is 0. So pretty easy. The angle will be, first we take tan inverse of the first one, let's call this -3, minus tan inverse of 0 for the second one. Of course, modulus the values. Let's see what you have. Tan inverse of -3 minus tan inverse of 0. That should be minus 71.565. Inside of modulus, you take it out, that should be 71.6 degrees between the two lines. So this is just a method of finding the angle between two lines. Okay, that will be part 2 of your question. Now let's move on to the next question. We have to prove the ID. The left hand side is equal to the right hand side. So let's do this. Here we have cos of theta over the value of, here we have tan. Tan is what? Tan is sine theta over cos theta. Multiply by 1 minus sine theta. So we can simplify. On top we have cos, we don't change for now. And here we have sine theta times 1 minus sine theta. Now, for example, let's say on top I had A divided by B by C. This is the same thing as saying A dividing by B multiplied by C. I hope that makes sense, because I think from paper 1 O level we have seen something like this. What is A? A is A divided by 1 divided by B over C, right? Now we don't like to use divide, we can change divide to multiply. When you change this to multiply, this will flip upside down. So this will give you AC over B. So same logic here, when this is down, this will go up. Okay? Now simplify. That'll be cos squared theta over sine theta minus sine squared theta. Now what do we understand? We understand that we can do something with this. Actually, I kind of did something that I should have done. Let me explain. Because I could have used this. I don't need this one. Let me go back to this one. So on top you have cos squared theta. At the bottom you have sine theta times 1 minus sine theta. Now the goal here is to get to this side. So let me think, what can we do to get to this side? So I do realize that, what is cos theta? It is 1 minus sine squared theta, right? Square becomes this. Now what is this? Can be factorized as 1 can be 1 square. It is 1 minus sine theta and 1 plus sine theta. So on top you will have 1 minus sine theta times 1 plus sine theta over the value of sine theta times 1 minus sine theta. So these two will cancel out. So you will have 1 plus sine theta over sine theta. Now we can break it down, obviously. It is simply 1 over sine plus sine over sine. That will be, this is 1 plus 1 over sine theta. This is shown as required. Okay. Now let's move on to part 2 of your question. Hence means we have to use part 1 to solve this equation. This is the same thing as this, which means this is this. So we have to solve 1 plus 1 over sine theta is equal to the value of 4, which means 1 over sine theta will be the value of 3. Now we can make sine theta become subject, so sine theta will become 1 over 3. If you guys don't know how to do this, pretty easy. We can just cross multiply. We will send this up and this over here, right? So it will be 1 is equal to 3 sine theta, which is the same thing as 3 sine theta is 1. So sine theta will be 1 over 3. So like this. Now, because sine is positive, we understand that it will be in the first quadrant and in the second quadrant. In the first, it will be simply the value of the angle, and this one will be the value of 180 minus the angle. So theta will be sine inverse of 1 over 3, sine inverse of 1 over 3, that will be 19.5, but also 18, so 180 minus this, that should be 160.5 as well for those two values. Angle between the values of 0 and 360, and that will be part 2 of your question. Now let's move on to the next question. The function f is defined by f of x equal to x plus 3 over 2x minus 1. For x can be any real values except this one. Okay, fair enough. Now part 1, we have to find f of x equal to x. So let's do this. First we have to this one. So how can you find this? So step by step, that will be replacing f of x by x. Erasing x by f of x in this f of x. You will have f of x here plus 3 over 2 times f of x minus 1. Because we have to understand this is the same thing as f taking in the value of f of x. Because at first it was just f taking the value of x. That's why you had x here and x here. But now inside you have f of x, so that will become f of x, f of x. Now we can simplify. What is f of x? F of x is this, that will be x plus 3 over 2x minus 1 plus 3 over 2 times x plus 3 should be 2x plus 6 over 2x minus 1, and now we minus 1. Okay, so now we can simplify obviously one by one. Let me begin on top at first, because on top we have this plus 3. 3 is 3 over 1. They have different base, so let's make them become the same. That will become x plus 3 plus, so we can cross multiply. That will become 3 times 2 is 6x minus 3, and that will be over the value of 2x minus 1. Okay, that's the first step. Now over, same step here. Here we have 2x plus 6 and minus, so we can just cross multiply here. That will become the value of 2x minus 1 over here, over 2x minus 1. Obviously, because the base are the same, or let me do that on later. Let me first try to simplify the top first, so we don't confuse you guys. On top here, what do we have? X plus 6, that should be 7x. This will cancel out, and that will be 2x minus 1. And when you have divide, you can just write multiply, right? You think, remember, when you had a over b divided by c over d, we can change the divide to multiply. So here this is the same, and this will become flipped upside down. Same idea. So here we have a over b divided by b, c over d. So when you change the divide to multiply, we have to flip this upside down. This will become 2x minus 2x will be 0. 6 plus that should be 7. So this will cancel out, and you will have 7x over 7, which is just x. So we have shown that f of x is actually x. So shown as required. Now for part 2, hence means using that, we have to, or otherwise, find an expression for f inverse of x. So yeah, we can simply just find it. It's pretty easy, right? So let y equal to f of x, which is x plus 3 over 2x minus 1. We can cross multiply. You will have 2xy minus y equal to x plus 3. Now, we can send all the x to one side. You will have 2xy minus x is y plus 3, right? Send y over here. Now, obviously, here we are trying to make x become subject, so we factorize the x outside. You will have 2y minus 1. That will be y plus 3. Now x will be simply y plus 3 over the value of 2y minus 1. Now, finally, f inverse, it is in terms of x, so we change the y to x. And that should be 2x minus 1. It seems to be the same thing from what I can see. Maybe that was a reason why they asked you to use hence, but it seems that it is the same thing. Oh yeah, exactly. It makes sense now. But anyways, that will be the expression for f inverse of x. Let's move on to the next question. the line L1 passes through the point A and B. Okay. The line L2 is in the same direction to L1. It is parallel to L1. So what does it mean if the lines are in the same direction? So we understand that the gradient of L2 is the same as the gradient of L1. But now, given the 2 points on the line L1, we can find the gradient. How? We can just use our formula that we know, which is y2 minus y1 over x2 minus x1. That should be 4 over 8, and that should be half. So which means the gradient here is half. This is also half because they are in the same direction. Now, and passes through the point O. So L2 has gradient half, and the passing point is O, given to you right here. And that's good to know. Now what else? The point C lies on L2 such that AC is perpendicular to L2. Okay, that's some given information. Now part 1, we have to find the coordinates of C. So let's find that. So let me draw something so we understand what's happening. So we have a line L2. That will be my line L2. For example, now I have a point C over here. For example, let's say this is C, right, on L2. Now it is said that such that AC is perpendicular. So AC, let's say A should be here, so that it is perpendicular to the line L2, right? That's what it is said to us. Now we have to find the point of C. Now you can see, obviously C is on L2. However, it is a point of intersection of the line L2 and AC. We can first find the equation of L2, pretty easy. That is my x value, my y value. So y over x, so minus 0 obviously, but it is 0. That will be 2yx. That is my equation of line L2. But what is my equation of line AC? So pretty easy. First find the gradient. My gradient of AC has to be minus 2. Because it is perpendicular, we can derive this from this one. Now, what else can we do? We know the passing point is A. That should be 2, 5 given to you. X value, y value. So equation will be y minus 5 over x minus 2 is equal to minus 2. Now cross multiply, you will have y minus 5 is equal to minus 2x plus 4. So y will be minus 2x plus 9. Okay, that is my equation of AC. Now to find the point C, again, it is the point of intersection. So we have to solve simultaneously. So here we have 2 times y. Y is also minus 2x plus 9 is equal to x. Simplify, that should be minus 4x plus 18, that will be x. Send this over here, that should be 5x, that will be 18. X will be 18 divided by 5, that should be 18 divided by 5, that should be 3.6. Which means y will be replaced back in your equation, divided by 2, 1.8. So the point C will be 3.6 and 1.8. Now part 2, we have to find the distance AC. So pretty easy. We have the 2 points now. We can find that pretty easily using your formula. The point A was given to you by 2, 5. So the distance, that should be root of x2 minus x1, that should be 1.6 square, plus of y2 minus this should be what? 1.8 minus 5 should be minus 3.2 square. So when you square something, become positive, so we don't care about the sign here, we can just square them. That will be this, 12.8. That should be 3.58 units for the length of AC. Okay, so let's move on to the next question. Relative to a point O, the position vectors of A, B, and C are given to you as follows. Right, now part 1, we have to find the angle ABC. Pretty easy. From B, going to A, and B going to C. So we can find the directions BA and BC. Now, BA is simply OA minus OB. That will be 2 minus 4 is minus 2, that should be 1, and that should be 2. Now BC is OC minus OB, that should be 10, 0, 6 for OC, minus OB 4, 2, 3. That should give you 6 minus 2 and 3. Now since we have those two directions already, we can find the angle ABC. That will be dot product of BA against BC is equal to the magnitude, that should be 4 plus 1 plus 4, that should be root of 9, that should be 3, multiplied by 36 plus 4 plus 9, that should be 7, because we have to find. So again, how do you find the magnitude of the vectors? Pretty easy. We square it. 2 square, 4, plus 1 square is 1, plus 2 square is 4. That should be 9. Root of 9 is 3. Same thing here, you have 36 plus 4 plus 9. Root of that should be 7. So these are the magnitude of those two vectors. Then times cost of the angle B. So simplify. Minus 2 times 6 plus 1 times minus 2 plus 2 times 3. That should be minus 8. Over the value of 21, and that should be cos of B. So simplify. Minus 8 divided by 21, what is this? Cos inverse of answer should be 112.4 degrees, correct, to 1 decimal place. That is part 1 of your question. Now, the point D is such that, we have a point D, it is such that ABCD is a parallelogram. So, if you guys know the shape already, it is something like this, right? This. Okay, let's say this is A, B, C, and D. For example, these two sides have the same direction, and these two sides have the same direction. Now we have to find the position vector of D, which is the value of OD. Now from what you can see here, we do realize that there's a way to find this vector, obviously. For example, I can use vector move. So how do you move from B to C? It will be the direction. BC is what? It is, BC is here, 6 minus 2, 3. Right. Now I do understand that AD also have to be the same because they're in the same direction and the same length. So I know that AD also have to be the value of 6 minus 2, 3. However, I don't know the value of OD, but we can find this here. This is defined by OD minus OA is 6 minus 2, 3. So it means OD will just have to be sent OA over here. You will have 6 minus 2, 3 plus OA, which is 2, 3, 5. That will give you what? 8 on top, 1 and 8. That is your value of OD. And that will be the position vector of OD for question part 2. Now let's move on to the next question. The function f is defined by f of x equal to 3 minus 4 cos power k of x. Okay, now where k is a constant and x is between 0 and pi. Now we know pi is simply 180 degrees. So pi is actually 180 degrees. Now it is up to you. If you like to work with pi, you can use pi, obviously. You don't need to change anything at all. Now, in the case where k is 2, we have to find the range of f. So pretty easy. F of x will be what? Will be 3 minus 4k cos square of x. Now we understand this is a constant, this is a multiple. These two will not change. The only thing changing will be this one. Now we know that cos of x is between the value of what? Minus 1 and 0. If minus 1 and 1, not 0. But if you square this, this will become 0 and 1 because we cannot take any negative value. So let's put this here. First value here, if this is 0, it will be 3 minus 4. That should be minus 1. If this is 1, if this is 1, that will be 3 minus 4 is minus 1. If this is 0, that should be 3 minus 0, that should be 3. As you can see, the range is between those two values. You can write range of f is between the value of minus 1 and 3. That will be part 1. Now for part B, we have to find the exact solutions for this equation. Okay, so let's find this. F of x will be 3 minus 4 cos square x is equal to 1. Let's solve. We have 4 cos square x will be, that will be over here, this will be over here, that should be 2. Then you will have cos square x should be half, so cos x will be plus minus 1 over root 2. Now we have two possible values here, we have to look at one by one. For example, here we have cos of x is plus 1 over root 2, or cos of x is minus 1 over root 2. Because when it is positive, we know it is in the first quadrant and in the fourth quadrant. That should be the angle itself, and that will be 360 minus the angle, or that will be, because here we have to use radians, that will be 2 pi minus x. So x will be simply cos inverse of 1 over this. Here we have to use radians. So cos inverse, radians, so cos inverse of 1 divided by root 2. That should be 0.785. But also 2 pi minus answer, that should be 5.497. Okay, now what else? For this one, if cos is negative, it will be in this quadrant and in this quadrant. That will be the angle of 180, or pi minus theta, and this will be pi plus theta. Now theta is not your answer. The reason why we're using theta is because here it is negatives. To find theta, we just find cos inverse of the positive value of this. That will be 0.785 as we have seen here, but theta is not your answer. X will be according to the quadrants. It will be pi minus 0.785, that should be 23256, or it could be pi plus 0.785, that should be 3.926. Now we know that the value of x is only between 0 and pi. Pi is 3.142, right? So this will be too much, and this will be too much. So x is only going to be 0.785 and 2.36, correct? 3SF. That will be part B of your question. Now for part 2, in the case where k is 1, so that will be y, or f of x is equal to 3 minus 4 cos x. Okay, we have to sketch this one. So let's do this. How do you sketch? We will use a table of values, right? So y will be 3 minus 4 cos x. We have x value and the y values, a table of values. Now obviously x is between 0 and pi. We'll begin with 0. But now to find the interval, we have to look at the value here. It is 1. Usually we take 90 degrees divided by the value here is 1. So the interval will have to be 90 degrees. Again, here we are working with radians, so 90 degrees is simply pi by 2 radians. That should be this, and then this will be this. So let's find the corresponding value. 3 minus 4 cos of 0. That should be minus 1. 3 minus 4 cos of pi over 2. That should be 3. And finally, 3 minus 4 cos of pi. That should be 7. As you can see, we will have those three values for these values of x, or for the x between the value of 0 and pi. So let's make the graph. Let's see what happens. X value, y value from 0. Here we have pi over 2. And here we have pi. Now let's say minus 1 is here. Right? Why not? Here. Let's say 3 is somewhat over here. And 7 is somewhat over here. Again, it is only a sketch. I'm trying to freehand this. But you guys, you can always use a ruler and try your best to kind of scale it well and as well. So it's up to you. So we will have this here, and then here this will be 3, and this will be something over here, right? So that will be in the shape of what? So let's see, that should be my maximum point, something like this, right? That will be what? That will be your curve y equal to f of x. Now for part B, state with reason f of x, whether f of f has an inverse or not. Yes, it has an inverse because it is a one-to-one function. It is always going to be the case. Why does it have an inverse? It is a one-to-one function. Because if you observe here, why is that? If you were to draw a straight line, it will cut the curve at only one point. Because of that, it is a one-to-one function, and hence we have a inverse. So let's move on to the next question. A circle is divided into 6 sectors. Again, it is not said they are equally divided. They are just divided into 6 sectors in such a way that the angles of the sector are in an AP. So arithmetic progression. Okay. Now the angle of the largest sector is 4 times the angle of the smallest sector. So this one is something good to know. So the largest one is 4 times the smallest one. Okay. Now given that the radius is 5, we have to find the perimeter of the smallest sector. Okay. So let's proceed step by step. So what do we know? Right now we know it is an AP, right? Given to you by the question, it is an AP, which means the n term is a plus n minus 1 times d, right? And then the sum of the first n term is what? It is half n 2a plus n minus 1 times d. Now this is given to you, obviously. You don't need to memorize, but it's always good to write this down right after you know the type of progression we have. Now what's next? Now we are told that we have 6 sectors, which means we have 6 terms, right? We have term number 1, number 2, number 3, 4, 5, and 6. Now we always call the first term A, right? And then you're given that the largest sector is 4 times the angle of the smallest one. So if this is A, this have to be largest one is 4A, given to you by the question. Now obviously if it is an AP, we must have a common difference D. So every time your progression is increasing by D, right? So let me find this term. What is the 6th term? So T of 6 will be A is, first term is A, we don't know. N is 6 minus 1 is 5 times D. So 6th term is 4A is A plus 5D. Now simplify, you will have, send this over here, you will have 3A is equal to 5D. That is my equation number 1. Now what else can I derive from the given information? So something I should know at least is that if you have a circle and if you add all the angles together, what do you get? You say a complete circle will give you 360 degrees, right? I hope that makes sense. Or you can write also 2 pi radians, up to you if you want to work with degrees or radians. So it means that, in other words, if you were to add all the angles in the 6 sectors, you're supposed to get 2 pi or 360 degrees, up to you. Now we can solve this. This we know, we can replace back in our formula. That should be half times 6, 2a plus 6 minus 1 is 5d. E is 2 pi. Now simplify, this and this will cancel out. So 2a plus 5d should be 2 over 3 pi. Now let's work with this. So here we have 5d, right? And here we have 5d. So we know 5d is equal to 3a. We can replace here. So 2a plus 5d. Hey, 5d is equal to 3a. That will be 2 over 3 pi. Now we can solve. It will be 5a. Here's 2 over 3 pi. So a will be 2 over 3 divided by 5 will be 2 over 15 pi. So this is the angle of the smallest sector. Now again, this is in radians. Now if you want to convert to degrees, pretty easy. 2 over 15 pi is 180. It will be 24 degrees. So you can work with radians or you can work with degrees. It is up to you. Okay. Now let's move on to the main question. Here we have to find the perimeter of a sector, of the smallest sector. Now, how do you find this? So we understand that the sector have a shape somewhat like this. It will be this and this. This will be the radius, and this will be the length of arc. Now, if I am working with radians, I can tell you that the length of arc is equal to r theta. Theta is the angle here. So perimeter is r plus r. R is 5 plus 5 is 10. Plus r is 5 times Theta is the angle in between, which is this one, 2 over 15 pi. So here we have 10 plus 10 over 15 pi. That should be 12.1 centimeters, correct to 3SF. And that will be your question, part A. Now for part B, here we have the first, second, and third terms of a GP is given to you by this. And given that all the terms are positive, we have to find the value of K. Okay, pretty easy. I think we have seen this many times before, but let me try again. So here we have the first term, second term, and third term. First term is 2k plus 3, k plus 6, and k. Now we understand that this is a GP. So how do you get the first term, second term from the first term? So they are connected by a common ratio, multiplied by r, multiplied by r. So we can form our equation. For example, 2k plus 3 multiplied by r is given to you by k plus 6. Next one, k plus 6 multiplied by r gives you k. So we have equation number 1, equation number 2. So we can solve to find our value of k or whatever it is, and r, right? So let's see what can we do now. We can kind of replace. So here we have k as subject already. It's not subject really. So here we can make r become subject. So let's see. R is equal to, let me continue here. R is equal to k plus 6 over 2k plus 3. Here r is equal to k over k plus 6. So now we understand r is equal to r, obviously. So on one side you will have k plus 6 over 2k plus 3 is equal to k over k plus 6. Now we can cross multiply. You will have k plus 6 square is 2k square plus 3k. And that will give you what? You have k square plus 12k plus 36. That will be 2k square plus 3k. Now simplify, send everything to one side. You will have k square. 3 minus 12 is minus 9k, and minus 36 equal to 0. So now, as you can see, we have a quadratic equation. How would you solve this? You can solve by factorization, or you can just use your formula, right? But in this case, I can just perform factorization. You will have k times k. 36, it could be 1 times 36, but in this case, I think I will go with 3 times 12. 3 here, 12 here. Now here we have minus 9. We have to have minus 12 plus 3. So from here, k will have to be positive. That will be 12. So k will be the value of 12. Now we have to find the sum of to infinity of the progression. Okay. So now we know the value of k. We have to find the value of r. R is equal to k divided by 18 divided by 6 on both sides. You will have 2 over 3. So r is this. So now we have the value of k. K is 12. A will be the first term replaced. You will have 2 times 12 is 24 plus 3. That should be 27. And R also is 2 over 3. To find the sum to infinity is pretty easy. So sum to infinity, that should be A divided by 1 minus R. So 27 divided by 1 over 3, that should be 81. That will be part 2 of your question. So let's move on to the next question. The diagram shows part of the curve y equal to this. Now we can obviously simplify this if you want to. That will be 4x power half minus x. Right. Now the curve has a maximum point at M right here and meets the x-axis at the point O and the point A. Now we can find the point A, right? So on the x-axis, what do we know? The value of y have to be 0. Replace, you will have 0 here. That will be 4x this minus x. Now we can send this over here. You will have x equal to 4x power half. Now we can divide by x power half on both sides. This will cancel out. You will have x power half here, and that will be 4 here. So x will be obviously be 1. Because we understand power half is simply square root. To find the value of x, we have to, let's see, square both sides, that will be 16. So this will be 16. Okay? So the point A will be 16, 0. I hope this makes sense, right? When you divide by this, for example, here we have x, divide by x power half, we have to know the laws of indices. This is actually 1. But when you have divide, becomes, because we have the same base, we can combine them together, it will become 1. Divide is minus half. That will be just half right here. Now again, you can always use substitution to make your life easier. It is up to you, right? That will be this one. Now the curve has a maximum point at M. Okay, so here we have M is the maximum point. Now, how would you find the maximum point? As we have seen before, you would say at max point or at stationary point, dy by dx have to be 0. So let's find dy by dx. That will be first thing first, multiply by the power, that should be 2x. And then minus the power by 1, that should be minus half. Then obviously minus 1 is 0. So here you will have 2 over root of x is equal to 1. Cross multiply, you will have 2, that will be this, and x will be the value of 4. So this is the value of 4 right here. Let's find the corresponding value of y by replacing 4 in the main equation. So y will be 4 root of x minus 4. That should be 8 because root of 4 is 2. 2 times 4 is 8 minus 4 is 4. So m is 4 and 4. A will be 16, 0. Now let's move on to part 2 of the question. So we have to find the volume obtained when the shaded region is rotated through 360 about the x-axis, right? So again, rotation about the x-axis, as we have seen many times before, it is simply using your formula, which is pi y square respect to the x. When you're making a rotation about the x, we take y square. Pretty easy. So y was given to you by 4x power half minus x. We have to square that to find y square. Now first thing first, we can just expand everything to make it easier for you. That will be 16x minus 8x 3 over 2 plus x squared, right? Now replace here, you will have volume will be integration, take out pi, it is only a multiple. Limits is 0, here we have this here. That will be 16 and 0. Inside we have 16x minus 8x 3 over 2 plus x squared dx. So let's solve. That will be this. And here we have what? That will be 16x squared over 2 minus 8. That will be 5 over 2. That will be power 3 divided by 3. And let's simplify. That will be pi. Replace, you will have what? 16 times 16 square over 2 minus, so simplify this, we can take this up, that will be 16 over 5 times 16's power 2.5 plus 16 power 3 over 3, then minus, so everything here will be just 0. X, 0, 0. Simplify. 16 times 16 square divided by 2, that will be 2048 minus 16 power 2.5 should be this times 16 divided by 5. That should be 3276.8. And plus finally 16 power 3 divided by 3. 16 power 3 divided by 3 should be this 1 over 3. Now simplify. 2048 minus 3276.8 plus 1365, 1 over 3. Have this as your answer. Exact value, obviously that should be 136.815 pi. Units cube. Now in decimal place, 3SF should be 136.5 becomes 137.4 times this. So 1 times this, that should be 428.9, should be 429 units cubed, correct your 3SF. But again, you have the exact value. Just provide the exact value as your answer. And that will be your question, part 2.